Thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris and welcome to another early LEGO Minecraft review, because this set is set number 21244, the Sword Outpost, and it releases on January 1st, 2023. Now thank you to the LEGO Ambassador Network for sending me this set, although of course all thoughts and opinions expressed in this review are my own. I am very grateful for receiving this review copy early for free. Now this is a really interesting looking LEGO Minecraft build because it kind of replicates a large scale sword, which we've seen some large scale Minecraft stuff in the past, but mostly they've been animals. And I think this is a really cool thing because this is something that players actually do in game. I've seen a lot of people put together these large scale renditions of weapons and tools to act as outposts and portals and giant kind of monuments. So I think this is a very realistic thing to what a player would make in game. And it actually looks like a pretty cool building as well, and I can't wait to actually put this together. And of course, the beauty of LEGO Minecraft is that all of these sets basically can be combined, so I certainly can't wait to add it on to my collection of literally every single Minecraft set ever made. And of course, at some point in the next few months, we'll be putting together an update to what is the most popular video on this channel, which is combining all the Minecraft sets. That came out, I believe, about a year and a half ago, and we can do a lot better because now we have a lot more sets. So stay tuned for that, and without further ado, let's jump right in to the review. Alright, so this is set number 21244, the Sword Outpost. This will retail for $45 when it comes out on January 1st, 2023. It comes with 2 standard minifigures, a skeleton, a creeper, and 2 extra mobs. Now, I have actually not been able to play Minecraft for several years now, and I honestly do not remember a lot about the details of the game. I certainly don't know what this is supposed to be, although on the box it says he is an ally, which means I probably should be catching up on what Minecraft updates have come out since I've last played, making me incredibly qualified to review these newest LEGO Minecraft sets, many of which are based off of the most recent update, which I've read a little bit about but haven't actually gotten to play myself, because to be honest, I just don't really have that much time to play games, unfortunately, anymore. But taking the LEGO Minecraft set alone into account, one of the things that I really like about LEGO Minecraft is that, well, you don't really need to have much knowledge of the game to enjoy a lot of the sets. This in particular, really the only thing that you need to know is that it is a large sculpture of a sword which marks some sort of an outpost, which is a really unique thing that, again, as I mentioned in the intro, is something that realistically players might have made. Now this is really notable because it does actually feature, for the first time, a jukebox and a disc, and I do remember what these are because these have been around in Minecraft for quite a while, and it actually does work, which is really nice. You can place your kind of record in there, and that totally works just fine to play music, so on, and then you can just kind of put it down, and it's good to go. As with all other Minecraft sets, these elements are all printed, which makes this extra special, and I really do hope that they'll appear in more sets. And this will not just be a one-off, like the enchanting table was. LEGO, please put another enchanting table in a Minecraft set, come on. Moving on to the rest of the build, this is a really interesting one, because you start off by actually putting together the large sword, and let's take a look at that build process. I think the most interesting thing while building this midway is that this feels like it could actually be a brick-built, kind of human-scale LEGO Minecraft sword. I kind of wish that LEGO included enough parts to make the full sword, or just build this into the sword, because this is actually really fun. For whatever reason, it feels really ergonomic in my hand, maybe because my fingers are wrapping around each of the pixels here, but I don't know. I think LEGO's onto something with these large-scale props for Minecraft stuff. I wonder if LEGO were to make, say, like a Minecraft icons line or something for kids where they could actually build these things and play with them. This is really cool, actually. And it's kind of a shame that it cuts off and it is literally just inserted into the block and you don't really get to do anything else with it, because this by itself is actually pretty impressive, and I feel like it would be pretty easy to just continue the exact pattern and make the entire sword. So I'd love to see people actually try to do that with the sword itself. But going back to the main set, obviously as you can see, you kind of just put the sword in at a vertical angle here. You've got some studs on the top, presumably so you can pose minifigures on top of it, so I guess if you really want to, you can have figures standing up on the top, but I don't really know if it really necessarily had to have studs on the top there. I probably would have been fine if it was just flat and you just could place minifigures on it, but I guess it is nice to have more places to put figures. There are a couple of play features here, some of which are very interesting to me. First of all, we have flick-fire missiles returning in this set and several other sets for the first time in a really long time. I cannot remember the last time we got flick-fire missiles in a LEGO set. I mean, I'm sure they've come out once or twice in some random stuff, but typically LEGO, kinda ever since they made these stud shooters and these spring-loaded missile type stuff, they stopped really including flick-fire missiles in sets. I remember there was a period where they were coming up in every single set, even some Lord of the Rings stuff like the Weathertop set, which made no sense. And now we're kind of going back in 2023 because a lot more sets are randomly having flick-fire missiles. Kind of feels like a blast from the past, but I mean, they're not bad. They kind of work as arrows which can be fired, which I think works totally okay. Now, there is one other function, and initially I was a little bit confused by this one because there wasn't any TNT around until I realized that obviously the creeper is the source of the explosion, but much like many of the other Minecraft sets, this does have an exploding feature. You kind of just press down, and that blows up. Now, I personally think it would have been a little bit more satisfying if more than just one chunk of it blew up. Like, if this had a function where it split in half easily, I feel like that would have been good. But you can get a pretty big explosion out of it, so it's not too bad. Just feels like maybe a little bit was missing, because obviously in Minecraft, one chunk won't just blow up. There will be a lot of blocks flying everywhere, so even if they just had, I don't know, some blocks under here that would pop up, I think that would have made the explosion feel a little bit more realistic, but it's not too bad. Essentially, the entire premise of the set is that you've got your outpost here, which is under siege by a skeleton and a creeper, and presumably more enemies lurking just out of sight. And this is kind of your outpost, where you're making your last stand against the enemies. You've got some auto-firing arrows, which are pretty cool to set up here. And it really does have a lot of play potential in it, where you can imagine that you've got your enemies approaching from the side, and you basically have to do all that you can to knock them over, or shoot them with the arrow launchers, just to make sure that they don't breach your defenses and make their way through, which I think is a pretty cool concept for a set, being a defensive outpost. That being said though, for $45, this, to be completely honest, doesn't really have that much 3D depth to it when it comes to playing around with it. Obviously, the main focus is on the massive sword, but if you really look at it, the sword isn't really that much intensive in terms of bricks. Sure, it is about a brick thick when you put it all together, but this is something that makes the set feel a lot larger than I believe it actually is, because if you were to remove the sword, to be completely honest, this doesn't really have a lot going for it. Sure, you've got this little middle section, which is nice to have, featuring the jukebox and some lanterns and a furnace and whatnot, but a lot of the defenses are very low to the ground. You have these kind of very, very small walls, which I don't really know why they're defenses, because, I mean, at least for this one, any mob can just jump over that, so not really sure what that's about there, and I certainly feel like if this was maybe raised up a little bit, if everything was raised up, and you kind of had a defensive wall around this area, then I feel like the set would have been a lot more impressive, because not only do the enemies have to climb their way up to reach you, but you also are able to shoot them from above, which I think is a pretty cool function. Here, though, you basically have a ground-level defense. You've got a tower here, which is nice, but I kind of wish everything was on this level if they just repeated this structure and made this more of a fortress. Whereas for $45, this ends up feeling a little bit empty to me. It certainly is a very narrow structure, and the brick-built sword is really nice. I really do like the inclusion of the sword, and I hope that LEGO does more stuff like this. They could do a mine with a giant pickaxe, they could do all sorts of stuff, so I love the inclusion of this. But it feels that if you kind of look past the sword, which is honestly not even, I would say, worth more than $10 to $15 of the price, this tends to feel like a pretty small amount of defenses for the price you're paying, which is $45. That is nearly a $50 set, which definitely does not feel like a $45 set to me. Now, if this was $30, that would be wonderful. Even if it was $35, that I think would be a bit of a stretch, but $45 is just a little bit too much. Obviously, LEGO has been increasing the prices of a lot of their products nowadays, and some are better than others, but Minecraft typically has fairly good value, and this one is just not that good of a value for me in particular. Even if it was $40, I definitely would feel a lot better than $45, which does feel like, again, they are kind of compensating from a very shallow defensive area with a large sword, which again, is really cool. I love that they have this large sword, just kind of feels like it really isn't all that substantial. Still, this is easily one of the most visually interesting Minecraft sets, and price aside, it's probably one of my favorites out of the wave just because of this massive sword. When building it, again, as I mentioned, this really felt like I was putting together a large-scale sword. It actually had some pretty complex ways that everything came together, and I really had to pay attention to getting the blocks to line up, which was pretty surprising for a Minecraft set to have this much complexity in it. And all in all, I definitely wish that LEGO, I don't know, maybe just had it such that you had enough bricks to build the full sword. I feel like if they made the sword detachable, and they just included a few extra bricks to just go all the way, even just making it a slightly shorter sword, I definitely would have really appreciated that as a $45 set, because then if they made this detachable, then you can play around with the sword yourself and just kind of treat this as its own outpost. But as it is right now, it's a little bit of an in-between model. It certainly is very visually striking and definitely is very unique as a LEGO Minecraft set. I just wish it included a little bit more for $45. Now, taking a look at the figures themselves, we thankfully get different types of skins for the characters in this particular wave of sets, and Minecraft has been doing a much better job of giving us like actual different characters other than Steve and Alex, which I greatly appreciate because they were getting very old, and in recent years they've been doing a lot more kind of unique stuff here. What I really do appreciate about this particular lineup is that they have our first Minecraft character with Vitiligo, and LEGO has been doing that pretty recently. They actually included a minifigure with Vitiligo in the table football set, and then they later are making a mini doll with the same condition, and now we have one with a Minecraft skin as well. So I'm all for diversity and inclusion. I appreciate that LEGO is doing stuff like this to make kids be able to identify to what they look like and different types of characters in different worlds, and I appreciate that they're doing it in basically every single theme, from Friends to kind of a generic football thing to now Minecraft. The other character here is honestly not super interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of the color scheme because obviously it is wearing diamond armor, but the brown and the kind of yellowish color aren't really that impressive to me in terms of the color scheme. Here's what they named the figures. They specifically named this a Guardian Warrior and a Sentinel Soldier, and those are very cool names for two figures that are honestly just okay. The Sentinel Soldier is a lot more interesting to me than the Guardian Warrior, but overall, still nice to get unique skins, and this is probably one of the highlights of the set. We also get an ally, and as I mentioned, I have not played Minecraft in a long time, so I personally have not actually ever gotten the chance to interact with these in-game. This was a pretty interesting type of construction for a character like this because you basically just have this kind of vinyl piece being used for what I believe to be wings here, and it isn't even connected on the back. It really is just intended to be folded down. You have one of the baby heads for the Minecraft babies being used for this particular figure here. If you want to see what this looks like, this really just goes around the kind of nipple stud here, or the kind of 1x1 bar with a circular attachment. So it's an interesting way to put a character together. Honestly, the thing that really stands out to me is this in transparent clear. Last year, Minecraft introduced us to trans orange and trans blue versions of this, but this in transparent clear is very useful, and I'm very glad we're actually getting these as clear stands, because yeah, this is the perfect stand for a floating character like this, who appears to be allied with the good guys, or I guess the players in this case. Again, I need to play Minecraft. I do miss opening it up and playing it in recent times, so maybe these sets will encourage me to play it a little bit more. But as of right now, this is set number 21244, the Sword Outpost, which retails for $45, and do let me know what you think of the set in the comments. Alright, and with that, we have summed up set number 21244, the Sword Outpost. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this set? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And if you've had the chance to build this already, if this is coming out after January, let me know what you think of the model and what your experience has been with playing with it. Now, thank you all so much for tuning in to Duck Breaks. I hope you've enjoyed these early reviews, and stay tuned for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.